computer. Hello, everybody. We're back with
Hey.
this. And thank you for all the great response from last week. This time around, we're going to talk about the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which some people love, some people despise, and a lot of people are just indifferent. So, I think I have varying points of view about it myself. But I hear some people who are into comic books and also to different extents the shows and the movies. I wanted to talk to Keith Howell here first. Let's raise our hands too when we're going to talk, so we don't overlap as much. But
all right, we'll try. I'll try.
All right, Tim Tolbert is going to be my co-host. He was on last week's episode, but he's running a little behind. So we're just going to go ahead and jump off into this since Keith has seen it. So what are your thoughts on it? I wrote down some key points, but they were mainly for him. But if
Okay, well, let me jump in since I may be leaving early. Initially I thought it started off really strong, and I felt like it ended very weak. And that was my impression. And I'm pretty forgiving on Marvel stuff. I'm there. I let them do what they're going to do. And it's not that I didn't like it. I enjoyed it, but unlike a lot of people I've seen online have called it a slog and they're just ripping it. I didn't never feel like it was a slog to watch. I mean, I felt like it was a different tone, a different pace, and all that. My problem was just the last episode. I'm not even 100% sure what happened in all of that, like what they intended the ending to be with all of that. I don't understand exactly how the setting has been placed on the table now after this. So it's a little bit confusing how they left it. But I thought, the development of Nick Fury, I was okay with. I felt it felt like a real progression for the character as they presented him in the movies. They gave us some information we didn't know, of course. That's part of it, which adds some retroactive depth to the character that we didn't already know about, and so that was interesting. They went ahead and addressed his age and some of those things that happen as you get older, and that Nick Fury is a little slowed down and all of that. I felt like it was a good idea. The series was a good idea. It was playing off of a lot of the paranoia and conspiracy stuff that's so prevalent in culture right now, which is similar to like the Skrull invasion in the comics around the Watergate period. So I thought it was a good way of modernizing that. I wasn't keen on how they introduced the Super Skrull character or in there. I feel like we didn't really get much on him. He was a one-noter for me. So I didn't feel very invested in that. The Emilia Clarke character, I didn't feel that invested with her. And again, as it developed, I really liked Olivia Colman. She was really good. I would like to see more with her, but in terms of how they resolved all of this with the president and what was happening with the Skrulls and all that, just really wasn't very clear to me what they were intending the status quo post Secret Invasion on that. It wasn't very clear. I'm not sure they knew. Like, I don't know, did they make changes on this thing at the last minute?
I actually read they did.
Yeah, I don't know, because it was similar to what happened with Captain America and Bucky. That thing, it was there was evidence that they had to cut some stuff out in that series that you kind of could see how they were having to piece it back together. But I felt like that one worked a little better than Secret Invasion in the end. I also really didn't like the gray filter over everything. It made everything very one note visually. There wasn't a lot of contrast, and that can get hard to see. Like you're not distinguishing things as they happen. But generally, I think the effects were good. The concept, I think, was good. Performances were good, but it felt underbaked in the end. I'm not quite sure what they intended with it.
I have theories about what happened and where it's going to go, some of which I'm probably correct about based on what I've read, but some I have no idea. But I'm not doing any wishful thinking like fanboy.
Right.
Like, this is what I like to see what happens, so it's going to happen. Like, wait,
right.
The Shield is definitely going to be on there because I like her. That's how fans.
Right. Yeah. It's like how those conversations that used to happen at the comic shop between people just talking, right? And then now we have websites like We Got This Covered and the Giant Freaking Robot, which just take those conversations and post them like they're actual rumors, right? There's no single. Right, yeah. No shred of a reason for it. It's just the same kind of conversations we used to have when we were, 18 at a comic shop between you. Hey, it'd be cool if this happened. Hey, I bet this is going to happen. And then they just put a post and throw it out there and go, sources say this. Well, it's that garbage, right? And and they hope something will stick, right? It's that same kind of attitude you're talking about. But I
call them fan bros.
Yeah, I can hear.
To me, they're the same people that hate Star Wars now because it has black people.
Well, and the thing is, when I go into a Marvel thing, a lot of the because I've still got circles of friends and things like that just they pick it apart and they tear it apart. They're so angry about this or that, and a lot of it when I listen is because they just want it to be the comic book, and instead of letting the comic book flavor it, they're just mad that it's not the comic book. And I approach all of these Marvel things. It's like, okay, I may think this is what's going to happen, I may expect this is going to happen, but I want to sit down and just let it be whatever it is, and then gauge how I feel at the end. And that's why, Secret Invasion, I enjoyed it as I was watching. I never felt like it was a slog, but I felt confused at the end. And so I don't know if that makes it as successful as it could have been otherwise, but I did appreciate a lot about it,
I do think the last episode was anticlimactic.
Yeah, it felt like that.
Because the fifth episode, I thought, was incredible. I thought the whole build up, it's like, this is it. He's either going to die or he's going to somehow kill Gravik.
Right.
I mean, but it's going to be like the highest stakes possible,
Right.
And he's like saying, I'm putting on my eye patch and I'm just going to go fucking do it. This is the end.
Right. They ended it with that. Yeah, they ended it with that sort of a promise of that right? It's like that the superhero gets their costume back on for and you're ready to go kick some ass, and it just didn't happen. We got a little Super Skrull action, so we got some special effects, but
see, that was a bait and switch because the person he was calling was not Gravik to meet him. He was calling Gia.
Exactly.
Wow, he wanted to save the damn fucking president. I'm like, who cares about the president? I know World War III and all that, but Jesus, Talos lost his life over that guy.
Yeah.
And it's like Don Cheadle. I thought Don Cheadle was really good at acting like a different character. I couldn't figure out why no one figured him out earlier.
Well, Well, it was a completely different actor between Iron Man and Iron Man 2. I mean, that should have told you right there.
Well, of course. Yeah, there you go. That's when he was replaced.
That's been my joke.
That's a good one. I hadn't even thought about that.
But no, I mean, my expectation is that probably the switcheroo happened after Civil War at some point.
I think it happened after Endgame because there's way too much Rhodey characterization. Back in time. There's no way that the Skrull would know all this stuff that Rhodey talks to Nebula about on the planet.
Yep.
That would be totally nonsense. But it could have been before Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That's what I think. Yeah, definitely.
But he did act confident in that. The thing I thought is Don Cheadle had the character, and of course, we revealed that it's a female Skrull.
Right. Yeah.
And he didn't act confident when he lied.
Right.
He didn't act like Rhodey would have been like, "Stop it, Mr. President. Okay, fine." He'd be like the way he was to Ross,
Yes.
Thunderbolt Ross. He would be like, "Okay, well, this is what we've got to do." And instead, he was like, "Mr. President, I mean, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like."
No, I think you definitely caught something there when Don Cheadle was being very subtle with his performance that way. I mean, not quite William Shatner in Turnabout Intruder level, but he was definitely changing the way he was being Rhodey. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. I think that that goes back to Falcon and Winter Soldier as well. I think he was already switched over at that point.
I'll have to rewatch maybe that.
Yeah. But it does make me wonder about Martin Freeman's character. I can't remember his name. Also Everett Ross. Yeah, it makes me wonder about when they switched him.
I think it had to be after Wakanda Forever, because I kind of feel like a Valentina would have known since they were married.
I could think.
But they're building.
Maybe she's a Skrull. Who knows?
Maybe. Well, the comic books she was, yeah.
Yeah.
They're building her up to be kind of like a female Nick Fury.
Right.
I mean, that's how I see it, which is not an adaptation from the comics, but it is an homage, kind of sideways, because they were lovers and partners in the comics.
Here's another thing that I'm perplexed about. Maybe one of you guys has more of a thought or an insight. I'm perplexed about the Emilia Clarke character and what the plan is to have a character like her that's got so much now integrated into her DNA. She's like the super adaptoid extreme here suddenly. What do you do, honestly, in a more grounded type of reality than in the comics? Sure, we have those kinds of things all the time, but when you're dealing with the more grounded, realistic looking stuff like that in a film, I'm not sure what you do with a character like that. It's like,
I think there would have been a path, but they haven't chosen it. And again, maybe this is me being a fan bro, but I'd like to think it's me being a half decent writer. Is I think they should have put her in the Captain Marvel movie and made Captain Marvel be the unsympathetic one and let her be the sympathetic one against type, like they did in the first Captain Marvel movie. And they could have just fought it out till Doomsday, two powerful women, but they chose not that.
Yeah, it just seems
pander to Kamala Khan, and it's like,
yeah, it seems poorly thought out.
She's not going anywhere, I don't think. Well, I mean, Marvel might fire her because Marvel's pretty incompetent right now. As you've noticed, they built up some incredible actors and characters, and there's no follow through.
Yeah. And I feel like there's got to be a plan, but
Where's Valentina? Where's Moon Knight? I mean, come on, man. Where are these fucking people? Where's Shang-Chi? They should be like popping up in cameos right and left if they really are building towards something cohesive, but obviously they're not.
I mean, to sort of rabbit trail a little bit, I have a feeling that's what James Gunn is planning to do with his DC stuff, is to just pepper people in there in all kinds of places, like pick them up and just drop them here and there so that you have that sense of just coexisting.
They have a world in the universe already
right, and if you just pepper it, this person just pops up for this here and there. You don't have to be a co-star, you don't have to be even a guest star, you just be a character who pops up because you're coexisting in this universe and it's logical for you to make an appearance at this point. And Marvel seems to be negotiating these things in which they don't just pop up unless they're in a after credit sequence. That's the only times you seem to be able to see them.
But they're not really picking the threads up. They were good at that.
Yeah, they're dropping those little moments, but those moments used to be something that was going to get picked up fairly soon afterwards. Yeah. But we've now got Star Fox, we've got Clea, who else? We've also got others that they've dropped like that, but no indication that they're being picked up and moving forward with in any major way. And Secret Invasion, kind of the same thing. It's like, if you're going to set this powerful character up, we need to set her up with a purpose. I think she should make a new Skrull Empire, like the Super Skrull. Well, the Super Skrull in the comics ended up becoming a good guy.
he wasn't the head of the empire, but he was like the right-hand man to Korean Skrull Alliance, and
Right.
obviously that's where they're headed based
And
on
yeah, this could be
comments
that
at the
she,
end.
yeah, that she basically becomes the MCU's version of the Super Skrull for real. Like the other guy, Gravik, was a little bit of a bait and switch on us, and she's going to be the Super Skrull,
She's like the
right?
Super Skrull mixed with Anel, maybe, or those kind of female Skrull characters that
Yeah.
we've had over the
So,
years who are
but
kind of
again,
sort of sympathetic.
I feel like they should give us that, you know, like in Secret Invasion is where that kind of setup should have been there very clear, like where we knew this is the direction that we're taking her. This is where she's going to go. Right now, it's so nebulous. And I mean, I'm not even sure what was actually happening in terms, you know, at the end.
I'm going to give you my thoughts real quick, some of them on the ending and what I think worked and didn't work and what I think happened and what I'm pretty certain happened. So, because I went over this with Tim because he wasn't sure either at first. He's like, it's so-and-so and so-and-so. And I thought some of them were obvious ones, but it's like, maybe I wasn't paying attention. I'm
well,
like,
maybe it's obvious when you tell me.
Well, okay, for instance, he wanted to know, did she know all, did Phyllis know all along? I mean, did Nick know all along she was a Skrull? I said, yeah, only for 30 years. I mean, it's obvious throughout the whole
I thought that was obvious. Yeah, I thought that was obvious.
What's ambiguous is he, until the end, he had never seen her as a Skrull. That's the impression I got because that comes up in conversation, and a couple of characters insult Fury, like cast aspersions at Fury, including Gia, like, oh, well, how would you feel about her without, you know, with her real face?
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. He had seen her. He had seen her before, and because they did that flashback into the 90s where he met her as a Skrull. They did have that, like in the first episode or second episode.
She took over Phyllis, yeah.
They did have that, but yes, I think you're right. The dialogue between the two of them was such that that he fell in love with her, though, with her human face, and she never dropped it for him. And after that,
all that time to probably because he was away for long periods of time, but took him all that time and maybe her almost dying, whatever, for him to go, well, yeah, I love her as a person,
right?
And you know, we're going to go there, and I'm just going to drop the fact that, you know, I'm sexually attracted to this African American woman, you know, and go into like, this is how I care about this human and their soul. And personally, I think their kiss was incredible.
Yeah,
and I really think, even though we're in an era of, you know, interracial everything, the interspecies thing, as you know, well, you know, the guy who started that is our man Philip was a farmer.
Oh yeah, the lovers.
The lovers, and so when I saw that, it's, well, from the beginning of seeing that story. Hey Tim.
Hi Tim.
I felt as though this is brilliant. I think that's the single most brilliant idea.
And that's what I mean. I really liked the character development for Nick in this. I thought that was really strong. I've read online some people don't, but I thought it was very strong.
Well, that's their problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi everybody, how are you? Sorry, I just got in here.
Hey, man.
That's okay. I'll be cutting out here in a few minutes, so you know you can take my place.
Okay.
Keith and I are just kind of warming things up for Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
I've
been giving all of my thoughts, just like I said, since I know I'll be taking off. So.
Now, is this Keith, or is this a Skrull version of Keith? That's my question.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that planet.
Well, it would be a green planet if it was Skrull.
Yeah, but maybe you're conquering that planet.
No, I'm the shape-shifting Martians.
Oh, okay.
From DC. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay.
John's. Those are some, I thought those 80s John John's comics by J.M. DeMatteis were great.
Oh, yeah, they were really good.
I mean, hey, people hated I loved it, but people hated Mark Badger's artwork. But I thought that was the point. He was trying to show how truly alien they were before Ardell grabbed him with that beam. And so he conformed. And I thought the writing on him in Justice League by DeMatteis was brilliant.
Yeah,
I love that series. I know that's probably a detour.
DeMatteis is just great writer. I love everything I've ever read by him.
Defenders was one of the best runs, I thought.
Have you read his Man thing? It's quite good.
Yeah. Yes.
I've read some of it. Yes.
After Gerber, I think he is the best Man thing writer.
And you know, Gerber is his hero. And you know, there's a letter. You guys might know about this. In one of the old Defenders issues, DeMatteis writes a letter, and he kind of, you know, and it's published in Defenders. and he addresses it to Steve and talks about what he thinks. And then he says something along the lines of, "So keep the faith, young Gerber. You are on the path to whatever," because he was a super hippie then, early 70s. And I was just like, this is so incredible. When I
tried to get some of the trade paperbacks of Man-Thing, and I figured that because he was in Werewolf by Night that they would reprint a bunch of this stuff. So I went to a comic book store recently. They are so hard to find nowadays.
You got to get them on eBay.
Yeah, eBay.
They did do
Epic
3
collection.
volumes of Man-Thing by Steve Gerber, but
Yeah.
they never did the DeMatteis.
Yeah.
And they have collected the Claremont for some reason, but because the Claremont version is not very good.
Enough said. I only liked one issue of that, which was the last issue, which I read it before I read Man-Thing 22, though. When I read Man-Thing 22, I'm like, what? Come on.
He kind of knocked it off, and he even spelled Steve Gerber's name wrong.
I like John Kowalski being in it because that was one of Claremont's little.
That was cool.
How do you spell Steve Gerber's name wrong?
Well, he called him Steven Gerber, but he spelled it with a V instead of a PH.
Oh, well, okay. I guess that's how you could fuck that up. That's
Yeah,
I do have to cut out, so
Okay,
I'm taking off. But I enjoyed getting to give you my thoughts on Secret Invasion. Tim, you can go back and listen to those later.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah. If y'all are still going when I'm done, I'll pop back on.
Everybody did all my work for me, so
all right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah, bye everybody, or whoever. Bye.
Bye, Keith.
Bye, Keith.
Cool.